This past week, parts of the Bahamas were devastated by Hurricane Dorian, one of the strongest storms in history. Days later, the area was visited by the 122,000 gross ton cruise ship Celebrity Equinox. The stop wasn't to sip drinks on the beach or visit local tourist attractions, but instead to bring relief supplies to Freeport and the people of the Bahamas. We were on board during this operation, so stay tuned for further details, including how the crew managed to make this all happen on such short notice and to learn how you can help. I'm Bill from cruisehabit.com. Last week, we left our home in South Florida behind to take a 7-night Caribbean cruise on the Celebrity Equinox. At the time, our home was in the path of Category 5 Hurricane Dorian. Early on in the cruise, the forecast changed, and while our home was spared, the people of Grand Bahama and Abaco Islands in the Bahamas received a devastating blow as one of the strongest hurricanes to make landfall stalled over the low-lying islands of the northern Bahamas. While the winds exceeded 200 miles an hour, it's actually the storm surge that caused much of the damage. Storm surge is a coastal flood. It's like a tsunami that's generally associated with low-pressure weather systems such as hurricanes. And in fact, it's storm surge that causes the majority of hurricane-related deaths. In parts of the Bahamas, the water rose to invade the inside of multi-story buildings. With tens of thousands of people displaced, areas such as Marsh Harbor were left unrecognizable, and many areas with no power, water, roofs, hospitals, or food. The Bahamas needed and still need help. All of this was unfolding while we visited other parts of the Caribbean farther south on our vacation. Our last scheduled stop, however, was supposed to be Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas, located south of Grand Bahama and Abaco Islands on New Providence Island. Nassau was largely undamaged by Dorian. But the day before our scheduled arrival, the captain notified guests that we'd not be visiting Nassau, and instead diverting to Freeport in order to bring relief supplies. On Friday, just after noon, we arrived a little over a mile off the coast of Freeport, the largest city on Grand Bahama Island. In the day and morning leading up to this arrival, though, many worked feverishly to prepare supplies to be handed over to help the people of the Bahamas. Adding to this logistical challenge, though, is that Freeport's port isn't large enough to handle ships the size of Celebrity Equinox. This means that the massive amount of supplies that would need to be loaded from the ship onto lifeboats, tugboats, tenders, and other craft available, then shuttled onto land where they'd have to be unloaded again by hand. The operation took over 4 hours, during which time many of the crew members of Equinox worked in direct sunlight without breaks, handling the logistics, loading and unloading supplies. As this work went on, similar operations were taking place on Symphony of the Seas, the largest cruise ship in the world, and the day before, Empress of the Seas dropped off supplies as well. Norwegian Cruise Lines likewise sent a ship with supplies, and Bahamas Paradise Line shuttled supplies and relief workers, also evacuating some Bahamians to Miami. While on board Celebrity Equinox, we chatted with some senior officers, including Hotel Director Chris Scaliotis, to learn more about what was delivered and how this plan came to be. Cruise ships carry a lot of extra food and supplies, but in our case, some stores were increased while the ship was in Tortola, the British Virgin Islands, a couple days before going to Freeport. The exact relief plans weren't known at that point, but the officers on the ship did know they'd be bringing some supplies to the Bahamas, allowing them to stock up some more. After leaving Tortola, the final plans were made, and the crew started getting to work preparing for the transfer of all these goods. They ran into a challenge, though. They simply didn't have the resources to finish preparing the almost 9,000 meals that they were getting ready in time for our arrival. Luckily, a number of guests had come forward asking what they could do to help, so the cruise line reached back out to them after taking their information and put them to work in the ship's dining room, where about 100 guests helped assemble the ingredients into individual boxed meals. After the tedious delivery process of this food and other goods, Celebrity Equinox unloaded a total of 8,800 individual meals, plus 53 large plastic containers of bulk food, enough food in total for about 10,000 servings. There were also 8 pallets of water, which make up about 16,000 bottles of water, 3 pallets of dry goods, such as canned food, 100 sunbeds for people to sleep on, countless sheets, towels, blankets, and other linens, plus medical supplies from the ship's medical center, as well as clothing and other contributions from guests. Mr. Skaliotis commented that he was really proud of the ship's crew's efforts, including the 20 housekeeping staff left out on the sun at the dock for hours, loading, unloading things from these tenders, from lifeboats, things like that, working diligently with zero complaints to help those in need. He also remarked how wonderful it was that so many guests came forward unprompted, wanting to help as well. In the coming days, several other cruise ships from Royal Caribbean and Norwegian will be dropping off supplies, generators, and relief workers, and even evacuating some residents of Grand Bahama and Abaco Islands to Nassau, the capital. Additionally, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and Carnival, the three largest cruise companies in the world, have each committed millions of dollars cash to the Dorian disaster relief funds. If you want to help, Royal Caribbean has collaborated with the Bahamian government and their nonprofit partner, the Pan American Development Foundation, as well as a network of Bahamian charities and other local organizations. They'll be matching every dollar donated to this fund in order to boost the assistance that is so badly needed. On our sailing, Celebrity refunded 1 day's worth of cruise fare to all guests because we didn't stop in Nassau as scheduled. I'll be donating that refunded amount and more to the relief fund, and I'd encourage anyone else who's received onboard credit or partial refunds because of storm-related changes to do the same. Regardless of this, if you can donate, please do by visiting padf.org/hurricane-Dorian-celebrity or cruisehabit.com/Dorian relief. Thank you.